Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell, and today it is solo mission time. This time, indeed, with not only a wonderful friend, but better of all, someone I can torture. We're doing
Ah!
something a little bit unusual today, as it would happen, and
Yes.
that is for a number of reasons. But before we do so, tell us who you are and tell us who you are playing.
Hi, it's me, Lee. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. Good to see you again. If I do, good to see you. If I don't, I'm playing Malaj, who is a librarian. They are level 2. They are a non-human. They are a strange homunculus, so they look very human, though in the uncanny valley.
Mm-hmm. And given that you're going to be on solo for this one, any other information you'd like to provide about our good friend Malaj, besides the fact that his name is spelled Malaj?
Yeah, it is spelled Malajj.
Malaj.
Dyslexia is beginning. But no, he was created with the sole purpose of after a war and cataclysm torn world died and divulged into its very few remnants living underground or in some degree of it. He was created and charged by his maker to just go and find the lost knowledge, the hidden things, the secrets that no one wants brought to the sun, that they might be used to help maybe jumpstart what's left of his home.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the only of his 76 brethren that have come back. Whether they are alive or not, who knows? Only time and God will tell. Um, but he is strange. He doesn't. He gets, but doesn't really care for social finery, shall we say? And is ready.
Excellent. And I am ready too. Reason being is that this mission is unusual for two reasons. First of all, it is a request mission from my wife, who does not play. She is known for having incredibly vivid, like wildly vivid dreams once in a while. The sort of thing that she will wake up from it and be able to talk to me for about an hour or more at length about every solitary detail of the dream. And she had one of those dreams the other day for the first time in a while. And when she had finished telling me about it, she said to me, "Do you think you could host this as an Enclave mission?" Because I had actually mentioned a few times, "Wow, this sounds like a mission." And I said, "Why the heck not?" And I know just the person to bring it to. And so this is a mission based on my wife's most recent vivid nightmare. It is also unusual for a second reason. We are going to be doing something called a difficulty critical mission. This is not going to be formally introduced to the game until Aspirant, Enclave's upcoming expansion to be released later this year. In Aspirant, you will be able to request when you are generating mission that it be higher difficulty or danger, or both, than normal. And critical is the baseline one tick up. So this is going to be a much harder mission than pretty much anything you have seen on this channel. As based in my understanding of Lee, which is substantial, and what I believe he and his character is capable of. Because of that, this one's going to be rather punishing. That said, a difficulty critical mission has two perks. One being that if he succeeds, Malaj will get 2 mercs rather than 1 as rewards. And 2 being that if he fails but not by much, he gets partial credit and still gets 1 mercs from it. And with all that discussed, let us dive in to the mission statement. And as with many difficulty critical and higher difficulty missions, this one is going to have a rather sparing mission statement, because withholding information is one of the best ways to make missions harder. You are being sent to a truly contemporary part of Manifold. It will be very familiar to our lives here in America in the 2020s, in terms of the tech level, the culture, the general vibe, and also, in case of our particular circumstances, a rather peaceful suburban sort of region. Magic is either unknown in this part of Manifold, or is such a so rare as to be a conspiracy theory that no one actually takes seriously. Your mission statement is as such. A couple has just lost their child, as in not dead, but lost. They cannot find him. This happened after an encounter with another family out walking at night with their small girl. They came home after looking for their son everywhere to find that girl at their dining room table. The police have been called but have not arrived yet. Your goal is to find and return their son to them. Their son is 4 years old. The little girl that they found at their dining room is older than that, maybe 7 or 8. The family's names, by the way, they are the Ford family. Peng and Helen Ford, their son is named Jason. The small girl at the dining room table has refused to talk at all, but clearly understands them and responds to things and seems reasonably polite. She just refuses to talk at all, no matter what. Though admittedly they've only been speaking to her for a couple of minutes. Like I said, magic is completely not believed in here. That is not to say it doesn't exist, it is not believed in. In terms of the family they saw out walking, they did not recognize them. They didn't get a great look at the parents' faces because the little girl was holding a flashlight, and their son was also holding a flashlight. They were out for a late night walk, which is rather common. It's a very safe neighborhood. And the little girl was out of batteries in her flashlight, and the family very kindly offered to give her theirs, and so they traded flashlights. That was the last they saw of the little girl, and their son they misplaced on the way back home, just turned their back for a split second, and he was gone with the broken flashlight nowhere to be found. Presumably he was still holding it. Questions?
Time of day.
Night. They were out walking at like 8:30 p.m. after sunset. It's common around here. The streets are well lit except for small sections. They live next to a big park with like trails and stuff, so it's very fun to go walking out there. Unbelievably safe area. Vandalism is reported in the daily paper. It is so low crime.
Can the Enclave confirm if the boy is in physical danger?
No.
No, as in he's not, or no, they can't confirm?
Can't confirm. The Enclave has not had time to do any preliminary scouting of this region.
Are the household that have lost the little boy, are their parents in any sort of relevant city positions? Any, like, are they the mayor and the mayor's wife?
Oh, the Ford family? No.
Yeah.
They have comfortable upper middle class jobs.
Cool. Do we have their name, including the?
Oh yes, the Ford
name?
family. Their names are Peng and Helen Ford, and their son is named Jason.
I'm assuming I'm getting a physical description of Jason.
Yep. You will know what he looks like.
Okay. Can the Enclave confirm or deny if people are going to immediately send send dogs after Malaj for what he looks like?
Malaj is going to look very strange, and because of that, the Enclave recommends that he introduces himself to the family with caution, and he avoid the police.
Perfect.
By the way, of note, the police are unlikely to be unhelpful, but the Enclave is going to guess that they have a negative 2 billion % chance of actually solving this. So even if they might be able to help, if you get in their good books, the degree to which they can help is dubious. And if Malaj is being creepy and Malayish as per usual, there's a decent chance they might just take him down. I should also note, there is likely to be a point of no return that the Enclave is going to be trying to monitor for you. There is a chance you will just get a badge ping and say it's too late.
Yep, figures. Can the Enclave provide the exact location where those two families crossed on the road?
Yep. Or it would be so right.
And a rough map to that.
Yep, the Ford family lives in a cul-de-sac called Robin Street, and Robin Street runs parallel to some of the trails in Bar Valley Park. And the incident happened on Robin Street, near to one of the closer trailheads to the Ford household. Other questions?
Hold on, I'm just taking my notes.
Mm-hmm. For those watching, by the way, you are in for a treat if you are not already familiar. Lee is an intensely experienced Enclave player, and he is used to very high difficulty from back in the day. So the processes you see him going through are those of a highly seasoned Enclave player engaging with high difficulty.
How long before the police show up?
It's
Roughly
not long.
to the Fords.
They're going to be arriving at the Ford house within like 15 minutes.
Okay. And anything known about? And the girl hasn't spoken yet. Did
No.
they get her? Did they get the girl's name during their talk in the
Nope.
in the first point?
Nope.
Do the parents have any physical description to work off of the people they saw yet, or is that
No.
something I'll have to get from them?
The only thing, well, it should be pretty easy to interact with them, but from what little the Enclave has determined, probably from tapping police phone lines or something of that nature, the parents did not get any look at the faces of the girls' parents, presumable parents. They were wearing broad-brimmed hats that shaded their face from the streetlights nearby, but other than that, they looked pretty normal. And while they didn't talk, they seemed friendly and did clasp their hands in thanks when they traded phones. They assumed that maybe they were like new to the area and there's a lot of immigrants here, so maybe they weren't comfortable speaking Metro or something. They didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. Weather, is it summer months? Is it winter?
Warm spring.
Okay.
Weather is crisp and pleasant night. By the time Malaj arrives, it would be approaching 10 o'clock.
Gotcha. All right, I have no more questions then. I think
Great.
everything else I need to pick up on the fly.
And given that this is a solo mission, assembly is going to look a little different. Obviously, Malaj doesn't have anyone particularly to talk to during assembly, but if you wouldn't mind, give us a bit of a narration of what he would do there himself, if he has any personal rituals or things he would do before taking his place upon the telepad after being led through Enclave HQ to an empty assembly room with just him, an attendant ready to answer questions, a single gleaming telepad in the far side, and the normal refreshments provided.
Malaj would initially just sort of like look around, think about like sort of like patiently waiting as he normally does, but then sees that there's only one telepad and just sort of smirks, just with a light, and he will go to the nearby table and just sketch for himself in his own hand from a given picture. I'm guessing the attendant can provide of like a bird's eye view like street map of this place.
Yep. Just
so that he has a mental image to work off of. And will take a small sip of water and sort of look at the attendant, look them up and down, and then head over to the teleporter pad.
And as he takes his place,
leaving the little hand-drawn map where it was.
Mm-hmm. As he takes his place atop the telepad, Malaj would begin to feel his body dissociate, the tingling beginning in his toes, working its way up his legs, leaving them feeling asleep and unconscious, passing his stomach, and he feels whatever strange uh, homunculus stomach he has would churn, and past his homunculus heart, which to whatever degree it does beat, would flutter and no longer be felt, and then pass his eyes, and his vision would explode into color, and the world falls away. And he finds himself facing a beautiful blue front door outside of a lovely, wealthy-looking suburban home. It's dark, though a post lamp does light the front yard. And as he looks about, he can see that there are cars in nearby driveways and a few front porch lights on, but for the most part, people, the cul-de-sac is starting to go to sleep, with only a handful of like bedroom lights still on, and most windows having their blinds drawn and their curtains pulled. As he arrives, he would also see that there's a little sign above the door. It either looks handmade or like custom ordered, of a Ford household that has like a silhouette image of a mother and father holding a child. As he arrives, what would he like to do?
Just gonna immediately turn around.
Yep.
And just check anyone is watching. I have no pluses to. Sorry, I have 1 plus to my sensory.
Mm-hmm.
And just see if anyone on the outside, if there's anybody looking, anybody who seems to be already aware of the situation.
In houses or out of houses?
Yes.
Okay. Out of houses, no, not that you can see. In houses, you don't see any like silhouettes watching at windows, which would be the easiest one to spot out, like backlit silhouettes. Because of that, if there are, they are doing so from darkness.
Okay. So what I will do in that case is sort of pull my cloak tight. You know, keep all the garmentry close, and I will look at the door, and I will see that there is a bell.
Yep, little buzzer.
Bell.
You can see it lights up. It's one of the. It's like a not a Ring camera, because obviously a branded thing wouldn't exist, but it is like a video doorbell.
Yeah.
And it has like a little automated chime. And then there's a moment, you hear automated voice, "Please wait." And then you hear, and the door flies open. And you can see a panicked-looking man. You can see his hair kind of hangs limply in front, like partially in front of his eyes. He's stubbly, and he also has like heavy circles under his red-rimmed eyes. And as he pushes open the door, he looks to your chest, looks to your like belt line, looks to your face, and then frowns. "Who are you?"
I'm here to help. Word has unfortunately spread about your son.
Did you take him? Was it you?
No, I would never. No, please. And will sort of like bow his head, and the closest thing you could call me is a private investigator. If you would.
What do you want?
I can help.
Are you asking for money?
None. I work for free.
But
I'm gonna sort of show my wrist and just be like, bad things happen to everybody. Some of us try to work against them. May I come in?
How? He looks around up and down the street, and reluctantly steps back and kind of nods for you to come in, while saying in a quieter tone, "How did you know?"
Sometimes a really good way to sort of trying to very casually to just like get into the groove of not being hyper formal. She normally has a much more postured air. So he's thinking, and how else? Well, you see, in my line of work, it is very rare that people come directly to you with cases these days, with everybody getting everything off of, various sources of information, but police scanners still work.
He nods and he says, "So you're..." He takes out a phone and says, "Do you mind if I record you for a moment?"
Yes, you may.
And he taps his phone and he says, "Do you swear? Or is this is under contract, verbal contract, right? Do you swear you are not looking to get anything out of this from us?"
I truly swear I will get no money or anything from you outside of a glass of water, if possible.
Right. Helen, and what's your name? He says, still holding up his phone.
You can call me Malaj. If that is hard to say, you can just call me
No,
M.
no, that's fine. Do you have a business name?
No, I work under my own pseudonym, thank you.
Right. He taps the phone, stop. Can we look you up?
I'm afraid I don't keep much of a footprint. But here, and he'll reach into his book bag and just pull out effectively a dossier on himself.
Yeah, I'm alright with that.
Which would be, the thing that which is sort of, he's like, it's not a notebook as in like something you keep, no, but it's like places I've gone, things I've done, things I have found, places I've gone, things I have done, things I have found, as that's his whole purpose for existing. It is in a weird script, and and there is a little like script to Metro, not a cipher, but like translator on the side. It's the best that I can offer, but I promise you that I will do my best.
Right. His wife comes hurrying into the room. Yeah, Helen, this fella wants to help out. But yeah, I know how it looks. I'm gonna get him a glass of water. Could you take photos of this? He hands her the dossier. Right. She sets it down, looking at you cautiously, and starts to flip through and take out her own phone.
I'll put a hand on the shoulder and just lightly, that's still kind of a gentlemanly bow as much as I can. I say, from what I've heard, that you're also not alone in this house. Yes. There was a
you know about
a swap.
Is that what you're? You see her tense up and her hands shake as she forgets to go back to doing the photos. Her husband comes back into the room, hands you a glass of water, and he says, "Do you need to see the little girl?"
Hopefully I might be able to get her to talk a little, but we shall see. But right. Yes, that would be ideal.
And you're not gonna hurt her, of course, right? I mean,
oh, gracious, no, she's a child.
No, but just come. I don't know if you can talk to the police on our behalf, if you're a solicitor or something like that. But I know how this looks terrible. This looks so bad. I'm sure we're going to be down at the station all night long trying to sort all this out.
I'm following him up to the room, or to wherever
he brings you through the house to the dining room. Again, wealthy home. And as he comes into the dining room, which is neat and orderly and has a couple of like enormous hutches that are filled with ornate dishes that are probably never used, you would see the girl is sitting on a chair and kind of kicking her feet against a table leg. See that she's wearing like kind of Velcro pink flip-flops, and she has on a kind of mid-length skirt, kind of a jean skirt almost, and she has like a little blouse with a cartoon character on it. And her hair is kind of like done up in a mostly falling out like plait. She looks terrible. She looks tired, like exhausted, like she hasn't slept in several days. She looks quite thin, and she's not smiling, with huge bags under her eyes. She looks a little sickly, but she doesn't look horrifically demoralized. She just kind of like, a little glum, and is just kicking her feet against the table leg.
So I'll just sort of... Hello there. Do you have a name, young lady?
She looks up at you and you see that she immediately, her eyes widen and she looks scared. She looks over your shoulder towards Peng just behind you.
Yeah. As she looks at him, he will turn. Oh! Is there something behind me? No, I know it's me. I get it a lot. He'll pull up a chair. If she's on the end of the table, he's gonna go to the other side corner, and just sort of sit with the water, and just sort of. It's all right.
Peng pushes a small tin of cookies towards you, and says, "I mean, you can have some, but if you can try to get her to eat, she's been refusing everything."
Thank you. I will. so rare people give me food. But I will, yes. And I'm gonna look over at her. Do you have any allergies, little miss?
You can see that she's still, like, peeking at you nervously, but has mostly gone back to kicking the table leg. The table squeaks in place.
Okay. So I'm gonna sort of keep an eye on her as I'm gonna pick a cookie out of the tin.
Yep. It's one of those, like, grandma's sewing kit cookies.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna sort of like lightly tap off a little bit of, like cookies,
Powdered
the
sugar, yeah.
little powdered sugar, not too sweet, thank you, into the thing.
Not bad.
And I'm gonna sort of break it in half. I'm gonna sort of put it on the table near her, and then I'm gonna look away.
You just
Was it cold when I was outside?
No, it's quite pleasant. It's a balmy evening, kind of like unseasonably warm day in spring. As you pass the cookie and look away, you just kind of hear the periodic of her continuing to kick the table leg with both feet, one after another. Bump, 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 bump.
I'll keep eating the cookie for a sec, looking her up and down. I'm gonna take a sniff, not like an intentional sniff, just like in between bites. What does she smell like?
Too far away.
Too far away? Okay. In that case, I am going to, I'm going to reach into my book bag. And I would like to bring up, Malaj wouldn't actually have a frame of reference for this, but he wouldn't, and she's 7, right? She's
6 or 7.
Supposedly. 6 or 7-ish. I would like to pull out something akin to like an early graphic novel. Something local.
Sure. You can do that.
Yep. And sort of pick this up at the local library. Bartleby and Snartleby. Never heard of these tomfools? I'm gonna open it and sort of position my body in a way that it makes it hard for the light to actually like hit the page.
Mm-hmm.
And also, a little dark, and I'm just gonna sort of tap my ring, and which is my skin, my item skin. My ring is skinned as a oh my god, I'm cycling it back. My scanner device that the librarian has is skinned as a ring, embedded with these sort of faint orange jewels on one of Malaj's fingers, and I will use it to sort of like, light up the page for a moment, just sort of like tap tap.
You hear the thump 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 stop.
Oh, that rodent sure does enjoy Stromboli. Turn the page.
And you notice that she is no longer thumping the table. She's looking at the book. She doesn't look scared or she's not frowning. She's just kind of looking.
Sorry. Do you want to turn? Can we read it together, or do you want it by yourself?
Goes back to kicking.
He'll put it down, says, "It's all right. I'm a quick reader," and he'll slide it over to her.
She kicks for a little bit. Eventually the kicking slows, and then she looks to it and with one finger kind of slides it over to herself. And again, just using one finger kind of like flips it open.
Yeah. My assumption is that it's like a Calvin and Hobbes adjacent kind of strip.
And she's looking at it, and you can see that she actually seems to quite enjoy it. A little smile on her face. But she only uses the one finger to flip pages.
Looking at her hand, does it look like she can use more than the one finger?
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything's broken.
There's no like weird damage to her.
Mm-hmm. Just
choosing to be.
Mm-hmm. Only thing that you would notice is that the fingertip of the one finger is a little red.
Like blood red, rust red?
No, more just like rubbed it a lot
Mm.
red.
Yeah. That checks out. And as she's beginning to flip through it, just gonna sort of look her over, and with 2 pluses to spirit, she seems she is not in any sort of rush to get back to anything.
Mm-hmm.
She is also not crying.
Yep. She doesn't even have any red rings around her eyes or anything.
Yeah. This feels like she this you know this is she's not doing things just because like, she wasn't accidentally swapped. She would complain. She is here. She has been traded like a changeling has been.
She does not seem unhappy to have. She does not seem unhappy to have been parted from the people that the Fords met.
Mm.
She doesn't seem thrilled or relieved. She just doesn't seem unhappy about it.
Okay. And Malai will at this point sort of sit and look her over. Try and inch a little closer. Just like a little.
She's still pretty
In the
immersed
same
in
way
the
of
comic.
yeah. Look over. Try and look over at the page she's currently checking out.
Yeah, see that.
With very much just with like a
Yeah.
kind of face.
You can see that the page is a bit of a slapstick routine, and you can see that she's kind of following along with her eyes. It gets to like the punchline of it, so to speak. In this case, like a boxing glove extendo thing, like a, and you can see that she does actually give like a little smile when she gets to it. The only other thing that Malai would notice as she kind of looks through and seems happy, well, there's a couple of things you would notice. Since I know his mind would be going there, she does feel her age. She does not feel disproportionately young or old.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah. Another thing is that she does seem like she comprehends everything she's reading. She probably either if she might have a psychological thing like a trauma or something that doesn't make her want to speak. You don't see any damage to her neck, like no scars or anything. Could be congenital, but seems unlikely. It's a pretty good chance she actually can talk, but is not for some reason because she can clearly read perfectly and she's understood everything you've said. You've never detected any uncertainty or confusion from her. Wait, that's not fair. There's been a vague underlying sense of, like, barely suppressed confusion, but it's not massive, and it doesn't seem to peak based on what you are saying.
I'm gonna sort of focus in on the confusion for a bit.
Yeah,
Here's
you have
what
to
I'd
try
like
to
to
find
do.
how to elicit it more, because it's subtle.
Yes, so I'll get to that. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to so looking over the book that I've produced, what is the again, it's Bartleby and Snartleby, whatever sort of comic we want to work with that is. So what I'm going to do is just sort of as she's sort of getting nearer the end, I have at this point sort of moved the cookies closer to her. Just gonna say, I wasn't going to tell you this, but I have a little bit of a secret.
She actually looks up. She looks a little apprehensive.
Yeah. Well, since you're an avid book lover like myself, I figured I could share it with you. I have in my possession a mint condition copy of the first Bartleby and Startleby book. First one. First printing run and everything. Granted, they changed their tone a little bit as they went further into the publishing. Would you like to see it? Well, it's a shame I didn't hear a yes. gonna sip some water and give with like a coy look.
She gives you a look and would put her like one finger over, dip it into your cup of water, and in the like on the tablecloth in with water spell out YES and underline it.
You're a sharp little thing. I like it. And I'm going to use knowledge's power to produce to summon forth Bartleby and Snartleby. The expedition begins. As their first run of the comic was a little bit more serious, a little bit more like early YA instead of, Halvin and Cobbs. As I produced, still wrapped in its foil, untouched by human hand, and the power that I'm looking for is the ability to illusorily change what is happening in the book.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm all right with that, but you'll have to break the plastic seal to read it.
Yep. That is very much in the intent.
How are you producing this? Is this gonna be pulled out of your book bag, or are you conjuring it?
This is going to be conjured, but it's going to be done in a close-up magic style way. Mm-hmm. Sort of like, all right, now I keep it in a very special place, you see. I don't keep it in here. I'm going to show just bag of lumpy books. But I don't keep it in my book. In fact, I keep it and sort of like draw her finger to my ring for a second,
mm-hmm.
and then pull it out of her ear.
Yeah.
From behind the ear.
And you can see that she like grabs her ear and kind of looks at you reproachfully for a moment, but then gets distracted by
like holding a whole book.
Yeah, gets distracted by the book, and puts her hands in her lap, and looks patiently waiting for you to open it.
Yeah, and I'll hand it to her to open and just show her the little and I'll just there's a small perforation on the top corner.
Biggest smile you've seen. She rips it open.
Has her mouth opened once?
No.
At all? Interesting.
And as she opens it up, takes it out.
I've got 7 minutes before the cops show up at this point.
About that, yeah.
Okay.
Good eye on the time. There's a clock in the room, too.
I will mentally synchronize and give myself a Malaj alarm.
Now, are you going to let her open the book? That will actually give her the power, by the way.
Oh, no. I will not do that. I forgot that you have to be the one to open.
Yeah.
So I'll take it and sort of fold now careful. You have to be very gentle with these, and I'll open it for her, almost like I'm like a puppet theater kind of thing.
Yeah. And see that she watches as you get the power and also the knowledge of the plot rush into your mind. It's not an experience based knowledge is power. It's an unusual one, but it's an easy energy work given all that you've used to establish the Bartleby and Snartleby extended universe up till this point. And
yes,
from here,
who needs an MCU?
What would you like to do from here as she starts to look through the first page, only reading with her eyes? You notice that she does not try to grab it again after you take it away.
Oh, well, in that case, I can roughly follow what her eyes are doing,
mm-hmm.
and I know that she reads at a 6 to 7-year-old speed. I got a feeling for how quickly she read.
Actually, she reads much faster than that.
Oh, what? We talking 10?
No, we're talking high school age, probably.
Oh.
Bartleby and Snartleby is young adult. It's not 6-year-old. And even if we're
this first one is the first one was Schmalvin and Klobbs.
But again, even Calvin and Hobbes.
This is a little bit more femur.
Of course,
adjacent,
even if we're talking Calvin and Hobbes, though, there's a lot of stuff in there that a 6 or 7-year-old, even if they can enjoy, they won't get. Calvin and Hobbes talked.
But she was getting it.
She was getting it. Though.
She was getting it.
She wasn't just skipping over the words she didn't understand.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, given it's the first one, the first bit of it, it's probably a thicker book, you know. Yes. uh, yes. Yes, Dippy. 100%. This is I'm tin-tinning this child. Uh, you know.
And what do you want to do from
But
here?
it's so yeah. So what I'll do is let the plot be as it is.
Mm.
Um, I'm Tinder. You're right. You're right. You're right. Cut to black. Um, what I'll do is I will allow. Well, the police aren't here yet, so it's okay. No cop, no speed limit, kids. Remember that. Sorry, we're talking in chat.
Jesus Christ.
Uh, so what I'm gonna do is just let her initially read, and then I'll say, especially since I know the whole plot and I can read and sort of mentally read it at my pace.
Mm.
I will slow it down a little because I will read faster than her in my mind, and begin to sort of like, in the same way that she was, I'll actually kick the table lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And use that as a little bit of distraction, as with my left hand, I take out my skeleton key and sort of place it on the back of the cover of the book.
Yep.
And just sort of like begin to lightly rake it across the front as a new character introduces themselves. The image is going to, like, in a friendly cartoon way, sort of give, turn not to her in like a, but like turn to her and wink and go back into position.
As soon as it does, so you see that she jumps backwards almost out of her seat.
I was like, what? And like I'll go meet the new character with her.
She points.
What? I look at, I guess, at Finnelwick, a mailman carrier delivering news to Bartleby and Snartleby.
And this is the first time she speaks, in a very hoarse little voice. He moved.
He did? Hold on. I look it over. As I do, I will swivel the chair over. Like, what? You sure you saw it move?
Mm-hmm.
This guy right here.
And she, like, points her face and she does the same thing and, like, tries to wink and kind of sucks at it and then turns back.
Oh dear, you must be very tired. From somewhere.
No.
No, you're well rested.
He moved.
I don't see how he could. Well, it's... Do you want to stop reading? Is it
She
too
looks
scary?
around. And you can see that she pushes out her chair and goes over to the, like, the door, one of the doors out of the dining room, turns off the overhead light, and then goes back to the chair and gets back into it.
Huh. I'm gonna sit and just say, are things more comfortable in the dark for you, dear? No, not a big fan of the light. Well, don't worry. I'm just sort of, I'll use my ring at this point and just sort of like show my arm. I burn easily, so the sun is not my friend either. If you're not going to read it, I'll read it.
You hear a crunch on the driveway outside.
Time?
It's within the window that they might show up. You hear a car door shut.
Cool. I'm going to close the book. I'm going to give it back. And I'm going to say, a gift for when you go home and have nothing better to do. I'm going to leave out the back door.
As you are doing so, you hear the Fords answering the front door, and you hear the low, like murmuring of police officers greeting them. As you go into their backyard, it's quite big. Opens up.
Actually, quick thing. When I was closer to her, would I have been able to get a good smell of her then?
Yep, absolutely. Smells very strongly of mothballs. And like old closet.
As I'm walking away, I'd like to do something.
Yep.
Given her, she's not disheveled, but neither is she not ragged.
No, her clothes are clean, but her hair, like her hair tie, was coming out, and of course, her complexion was very like poorly.
Hair tie. I'm going to sort of like in the same way that like an adult who sees a kid having a bad time like gives like a head pat.
Yeah.
I would like to take the hair tie.
Yep.
Or at least pull a fresh hair off it.
You can get the hair tie. It was almost falling off anyways, and she doesn't turn around.
Perfect. I will sort of. Yep, I will, and walk out the back door, and I'll just say, "Take one more look at the book for me."
And you
Last
see that
page.
she pulls it over with the one finger and flips it open.
What I'd like to do is, I don't have any pluses to luck, but I'd like to pitch that in her hurry, she didn't put the light switch. That it's one of the little like. She didn't put it all the way down, and it's still like in the middle.
I'm not going to take that luck pitch.
Ah, darn. Well. In that case, I'm going to take the ring, and I'm going to use it very quickly for just a moment on the last page of the book.
Yeah.
And all it's going to be is in the art style of that book, the description that I got of the two families meeting.
Yep.
It's going to stay that way. As I'm going to walk out.
You feel her eyes on the back of your head as you leave. Their backyard is manicured but opens out onto woods. There's a play structure there and a swing, but it pretty much immediately devolves into beautiful, like altitudinous wooded trails. Very little undergrowth, big old trees, lots of foot-beaten micro paths leading to presumably bigger trailheads. But it's also frickin' dark. They don't have any of their back lights on right now.
So in that case, do they have a shed?
They do.
Cool. I would like to go over to the shed.
Yep. You find the usual inside. Riding lawnmower, half-finished projects, gardening tools that look ancient.
I would like to go up to it and you pull out my skeleton key.
Yep.
And sort of tap it twice. And as I do, I would like it to. I'm going to pitch that it is opening to the local town record or like not town hall, but like if possible the town's library closet.
Okay. Can you give me the wording on skeleton key?
Yes. Antique instrument oversized for an actual lock. Use it to unlock a terrain feature, temporarily opening a secret passage between it and another. Pitched feature that nearby that is thematically or topographically linked.
Yep. Neither the thematics nor the topographics make particular sense with a town library archive or similar.
In that case, perchance does the town library have enough of a green that they would have a groundskeeper's
You do get to actually pitch
office. Yeah. I will pitch it then. I say that.
And
I need more info. I need more info.
in this case, as you pop it open, it would cause like a trap door to swing open, and Malai going in would close the trap door behind him, with it never to be seen again. This is obviously functionally a teleport, but it does still take time to do. And because of that, Malai would be in this like secret passageway limbo for quite several minutes. When he popped out, however, he would be facing into like a kind of an old barn. It's completely pitch frickin' dark, and so by the light of his scanner, he could get his way out and make his way onto the library green. The library seems to be a historical building that's been converted to the purpose, and the barn seems to be even more historical.
So looking around the before I leave the barn, I'd like to see if there's like a spare flashlight or something in there.
Yep,
It's a
clonking
utility.
around.
It's kind of.
Yeah, I'm alright with that actually. That makes total sense, especially if you're okay spending like a minute looking for it.
Yeah, I'll take a minute.
Sure. And once acquired, what would you like to do?
Yep. No, I'd like to head over to the library. I need town records.
Yep.
They smell like mothballs, and they're sketchy people. Supposedly whoever these people are. At this point, Malai is running through who these captors could be, what their intentions are. The kid seems to have been a prior captive.
Yep. Seems
as far as Malaj is concerned. She was happy to leave, but was very well read.
Yep.
Which is odd for 6 to 7-year-old, especially captives.
Yep, that's
so
true.
That means whoever these people are, they need to have access to some sort of bookery. Hire,
and be willing to give captives exposure to it.
Yeah, which also means that bookery, that whatever that read material would have to not be on some sort of device. This is a modern place, but if they had a device, they'd be able to call help. They'd be able to send out some sort of warning. So it has to be analog. It has to be books. It has to be atlases. And maybe these captors brought that all with them.
Yep, absolutely.
Or there's another place. Given the speed at which she was, and this is as Malai is moving over to the door. He has 2 pluses to his in for reference.
Mm-hmm.
Given the speed at which this young girl was able to read through, a book comparable to Bone in its structure, shall we say, and able to understand more complex topic, his initial guess is some sort of, is one of 2 options. Some place, they're either holed up in some sort of old medical facility where there's tons of old, there is a bunch of writing and material on old procedures. So that would be definitely a good way to pass the time learning to read, especially if the kid had an early knowledge and had nothing else to do. Maybe. The mothballs mean that at some point, especially if this is really contemporary and they have like ring cameras, most people don't use mothballs. There are other things they use.
Yep.
And because mothballs are smelly and poison, so it would want to be either an older place or maybe the people are just old-fashioned.
Older place or old-fashioned is a very good idea, especially given that now that you're coming up to the library is in a historic building. So it's clearly something that this township does, is preserve historic buildings.
Is the library still open?
No. It's 10:30.
I didn't remember how late it was. Oh, it's 10:30? Okay.
You're coming up to it from the back.
Cool. Is there a back entrance?
There is a back entrance.
I'm guessing it's locked.
Yep.
Is it locked with a keypad and a key card sort of thing?
No keypad or key card. It is an analog lock.
So Malai's going to take a minute, sort of look down the middle of it and go, interesting. Any cats nearby?
No.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to sort of take a look at the door, and I'm going to sort of place my right hand on it above the handle, and I'm going to use catalog.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to place a hand and feel out the vibrations through it as I sort of jostle the the handle. And as I do, begin to use catalog to let the tumblers of the lock set in place.
Yeah, very smart. And given your kind of tapping listening routine, it would take you about 30 seconds to get this thing open. With the catalog kind of slowly into the, and then another, and then 4 tumblers down, it's open. The library squeaks open. It's pleasant. It doesn't have a mothball smell, I should note, at least not this part of it, but it definitely has an old paper smell to it. The back area seems to be mostly for staff, but you do actually see in the back area there's direct access down to the town records. Are you going to be looking just by light of the flashlight you picked up?
Yeah, if I turned on the big lights, people will be concerned. However,
Precisely.
I'm very carefully using my book bag over so that there's no vertical glare.
Sure.
I just want it to be going down.
Yep, and so you find access to the town records from the staff area almost immediately. It doesn't seem to be
and I'm
that
guessing
they
that's
give
in the
public
basement
access.
with no windows.
Precisely.
Perfect. I'm back. I'm going to turn that light on.
Yep. It's one of those old, pull string lights, disproportionate to the relatively high tech of everything else.
Okay. And now, I just used catalog, so it'll be a little bit.
Yep.
So, what I'm going to do is get to work. And in order, in this sort of environment, Malaj is quite comfortable. It's sorting, there's organization, there's probably a GUI decimal system. And I'm going to first get a map of the town, and get maybe 3 of them.
Yep, easily done.
Most modern, right before advent of technology, when founded.
Yep, easily done.
So that I can get good frame of reference for when things were built, how things were built, and where they are next to each other. And I'm definitely using my +1 vigor to go to really get a wiggle on with all this.
Yep. The town itself, by the way, is the town of Hookmoor. And Hookmoor, it turns out, was established about 350 years ago.
Hookmoor, M-O-R or M-O-O-R?
M-O-O-R-E.
Perfect, yeah, Hook. Okay.
And they keep quite impeccable records. So the town dating you can find, like the maps, you can find very easily. You can cross-reference them. Assuming you're focusing on the Robin Street cul-de-sac, you can pinpoint to within about 20 years when it was established, which it turns out would be only about 20 years ago. Maybe a little more than that. Maybe like 20 to 30 years ago. It's one of the newer developments in the town, and they don't build too much here.
Okay. But I'm guessing a lot of the trails are older.
Oh yeah, trails are much, much older.
In the same way that a lot of people have built things adjacent to like the AT. Yeah.
There's some quite pretty old manors in that area as well.
I would like that. I would definitely like a. There's got to be a trail map. They need that to show people. Trail map.
Yep, they have several nature parks around here. With Bar Valley being the nicest one that most people go to.
Okay. And what I'm going to begin to do is, especially once I have catalog back online, this will be a lot easier. Initially, I'm very intentionally putting these down haphazardly in a way that I know that this one is this and this one is this, but I'm not. I'm laying things on top of each other. Pages are a little strewn. And I want to... Yeah, it's base 9.5. How do they do it? I don't know. Sorry, again, we're talking in chat.
Yeah.
Going to... Yeah, so the thought process that Malaj is running off of is this. Whoever these people are, they had to... This was probably premeditated. This doesn't seem like a thing you do on a whim, especially being able to get a child to comply. Even if they are brainwashed or hypnotized, there's a degree of compliance that is necessary. And normally those kids tend to talk because children talk.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be enough understanding on the child's part, either of some sort of unpresent threat, or if this will happen, this is what's going to happen. But if you say something, then you'll fly back here to us or something.
Yep.
If that's the situation, she could also be willing and literally trying to gather more and just eventually escape on her lonesome. But that's neither here nor there. There's nothing I can do about that if that's the case.
Sure.
But they need, whatever it is, their base of operations. Logically, it would make sense. It would be off trail.
Yep.
Right? Given
That
that they
does make
appeared
sense.
near a trailhead, swiftly disappeared, it would be good access.
You already
being
picked
able
up on
to
the
track
old
people.
manor thing, but that said, that would be...
Yeah.
It seems unlikely that there's a roving band of kidnappers that hang out in an old manor. That's a very Scooby-Doo sort of plotline that would probably be picked out quite quickly in a town of this high tech.
Correct. So, what I'm going to look at is to see if there are any unfinished developments in the general area, let's say a mile of the pickup point
Yep.
that we have on the map. And I'm going to start red stringing here.
The only other one that there is on the other side of town, and it is relatively recent. It is in also a much more developed area of town, whereas this is a more country-ish part.
Okay. So using that, I will rule that out. I will rule out like manners and stuff. What about the previous theory? Any old like medical, doesn't even need to be like an asylum, but like it could very well be like a trail, sort of like a ski patrol lodge sort of thing.
Nope, literally nothing. The closest thing that you would have is that there's like a Boy Scout style camp. It's not literally called Boy Scouts, but it's like a children's summer campground that's within a mile. It seems to be actively used still. And besides that, there are power lines that cut through like just around one edge of Bar Valley Park. And that would mean that presumably there's like a maintenance site somewhere along that row of power lines, but nothing so direct as that.
How long has it been roughly since
Ported?
Or
since
not
capture?
Since Ported. It's been since capture.
Since capture,
because they didn't find out until they got home.
Yeah, or well, they found it just before they got home. Panicked, ran around, ran back home, called the police.
And then found the little girl in the room, or
yes,
was
exactly.
that it had been
found the little
swapped?
girl in the dining room. She was there. And since time of capture, it has at this point been about 2 hours.
So that means, okay, I now need to broaden my broaden the range, given that on average hiking at like a decent pace uphill, which I'm guessing a lot of the trails in the area are uphill.
There's big plunges up and downhill, yes.
Okay, so that still makes the average travel time 2 miles an hour on foot.
Sounds about right.
So that means I have to broaden to about 4 miles out at this point.
Yeah.
However, using and now the way I'm going to do it, this is a little bit interesting. Is I'm going to take the hair tie.
Yep.
And I'm going to place it down on the point where they were captured.
Yep.
And I'm going to breathe in over it. I'm going to absorb the smell of those mothballs into my nose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take my skeleton key, which looks wild. It is long, it is brass, it is clunky, and it has multiple jointed little ends to it that, like, as they are used, they sort of fit to whatever the shape they need to. And like they are sharp. They're not bladed per se, but they're sharp.
Yep.
And I'm going to place it down, sort of holding it with a finger like you would a pencil stick standing up on a table. And I would like to take the hair tie and do like a single fold wrap so that it holds onto the skeleton key for a bit.
Mm.
And then taking the top of my the top of the skeleton key in between the heels of my palm, I would like to use catalog again.
Yep, you'd have it up by now.
I have established a lot of yeses and nos. I've established a lot of things that wouldn't make sense if given that we're assuming these people are intelligent enough to plan, enable a child to help them, not just go along, but properly help. I should have grabbed the darn. I should have grabbed the flashlight. Oh well. And what I would like to do is use an arcane manifestation that as I begin to catalog, I want to spin the little hair tie that still has strands of the girl's hair on it, and as it moves them using the manifestation to sort of as a sudden brisk wind just sort of spreads across the table and begins to realign the misadjusted and sort of haphazard maps that I had placed down into a more cohesive picture. And I would like to try and have Catalog take the strands of her hair down paths that she had already traveled.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. What's your arcane?
+1.
Okay, yeah, so the little breeze thing is completely fine. That's pretty much just part of the catalog. I don't even know if I'd call that a manifestation. It's just energy work at the catalog.
Perfect.
Setup is great. Okay, a couple of things happen. First thing that happens is that Malaj receives a small electric shock from his skeleton key. Like a ow. You know, like putting a fork into a protected power outlet, not one of the fry your brains power outlets, but like a newer one that won't kill you, just be painful. So a shock, he'd probably drop the key involuntarily, unless his resilience stat is remarkably high, which I don't think.
I have no pluses to resilience, but on average, when you get a shock, you tend to clench in rather than you do out.
That's true. So it might be
especially since both hands were here. It would come up off the paper.
I'd say like a clench and then a release.
Yep.
Second thing is his flashlight would go out, as would the light in the room.
Broken flashlight. Power lines. I want to pick up my. I want to use my scanner and see where the hair has fallen.
They follow directly along the power lines, all of them.
All right. I'm going to. All of them?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to. Does it come back on?
Nope. Battery's
Just
completely drained.
Does the building? I want to check if does the building have emergency power? Are there like the little red lights that go on or anything?
No.
Cool. This is fine. I will fold up what I have, sort of like using the rough edges, the sharper edges of the skeleton key, and just like deface some old books.
Yep.
Fold everything and stow.
Yep.
And I will.
Are you keeping just the maps?
Maps. I don't. That's actually a tough question. I'd definitely like to keep the whole book on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole guide, because there might be offshoots, there might be terrain features that I can look through later.
Guide isn't particularly big either, unless you're trying to go for like a land survey of the of
topographic would have been very relevant, given that
you could get a topographic map,
up and
just
down.
like not a full survey report. Or I mean, I guess you could get one, but it would be insanely dense.
Yeah. In all of this, would I have been able to gather a pen from somebody's desk?
Sure, I'm fine with that. This could have been gotten before the light goes out, and even once the light goes out, you can just use your scanner to quickly grab up.
Yeah, I was making some notes here and there.
Yep.
I was red stringing.
Yeah.
And cool. No, I'm just gonna take the pen. I'll leave the flashlight since it's dead.
Yep.
And I will exit.
Making your way out as much the same way you came in. The lights are all out upstairs anyways, so you have no idea whether those were affected. But making your way, are you going to go back out to the library barn?
No, I'd like to try and find the library's circuit board. Their circuit breaker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can find that. Actually, it turns out in the basement, so you wouldn't even have to leave the basement because it has like utility areas. And opening up their circuit box. What is Malai's experience with modern electricity? My guess is probably not a lot.
He was at the point of the late Victorian point where he's seen.
So he would know what a fuse is.
He'd know what a fuse is.
But it would be a very.
But he also knows that wire goes to wire.
Yeah.
He's mostly following. If he finds a thing with wire and box and like the triangle that says zap.
Yeah, because so the ceiling in the basement has exposed wiring, so he'd be able to follow wire to wire to wire, and from there, through like a electrical conduit down into a box, pop open the fuse box, and by light of scanner, the scanner's having a little bit of trouble by this point. You've been using it quite a lot.
Yep, I'm once I get my vibe, like I'm only using that for like little things, and for this I'm just like hand on the wall.
Yeah, and for once he gets to the fuse box though, he'd need light in order to read the fuse diagram.
I'm not reading the fuse diagram.
Yep.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the skeleton key.
Yep.
And I'm going to sort of layer it across, and just when I feel it set on top of a fuse, like one of the little clicker things, push and click, and as I do, I'm going to twist, as I would like to try and pop myself out at one of the power line sort of like support stations.
Oh, that's really cool.
Effectively going across the electrical current.
That's really cool. Okay, I'm all right.
Yes, a substation. Thank you, chat.
That said, this is going to be another long teleport, because it is a long distance being covered.
Yep.
And because of that, Malai would once again walk in darkness for seemingly ever after opening up the wall by the circuit breaker and vanishing into it. Or the fuse box, rather. But when he pops out, he would find himself underneath two great electrical poles. They're huge. These are not like wooden power line poles. These are like the big honking metal ones that four people linking arms could not circumnavigate together, or could not form the circumference of. So there's two of these gigantic ones that all kind of like loop from duo to duo off into the distance in both directions, one going uphill, the other downhill. And you have popped out of a large metal box that is linked directly to these two enormous electrical poles, seemingly popping out of like a panel door in one of them. You can hear the gentle crackle of the power lines overhead, as well as the whir of whatever machine or backup generator or something is in the metal box next to you. What would you like to do as you emerge here?
Definitely sort of take a second and breathe. Just sort of breathe in the fresh air.
Continue to hear that faint crackling, the ambient crackling of the power lines. I'm gonna look over the substation and see if there's any station E3 that I'd be able to locate myself with all the map work I just there's
did.
some signage here you could easily get.
Okay, so where am I in comparison to the pickup point?
In comparison to the pickup point, you are roughly a quarter mile north. But you're like 3 substations away. Let's put it that way. Actually, less. You'd be like 2 substations away.
I'd like to check to see if the substation has any spare flashlights or anything. I
Are you
doubt
gonna
it,
like
but
pop
like
open
there's
some
there's
panels
a
and
chance.
stuff?
Yeah, they might, because they need, like,
Yep.
technicians need to come and check on it, and sometimes people need
Now
spares.
I should note that the substation is fenced in, and does seem to have like quite an effective set of deterrents. But you're on the inside of it already. Like
Yeah, that's why I assumed.
yeah, it has a powerful electronic lock. It doesn't have barbed wire. This isn't the sort of place to do barbed wire, but it does have like a big solid chain link fence. And so hunting around inside, popping open panels and the like. I'm guessing none of you don't want to touch any of the ones that have like a big warning label on them, do you?
No,
Didn't
that's a
think so.
bad idea.
Yes. Uh, and so popping your way through these, you would actually end up finding a flashlight in one of them.
Would I also be able to find like a high res, like a high vis vest?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Same place you find the flashlight. Do you want a hard hat?
Yes, please.
Headlamp?
Yeah, whole shebang.
Yep.
Question: does any of it work?
Yes.
Okay.
Headlamp click on, flashlight in hand. What would you like to do?
I will turn all of it back off.
Yep.
And take it all off. This is for later.
Yep.
I'm gonna stuff it, put it under my large cloak actually,
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of now. Was power out?
What's Malaj thinking?
Okay.
Bring us in.
Malaj is currently thinking about how if the power, there seems to be a consistent issue of of electricity bad, or of comfort in the dark, comfort without the power. Especially with the way the little girl responded of when she was upset, she turned off the electricity. That could either mean that there is superstition around it from wherever she's been for the last
Mm-hmm.
or whatever has her or had her and now has the boy needs electricity and sort of is a naturally overcharged thing. And if she was afraid and happy to be away, which there seemed to be a little bit of that as far as Malaj is concerned.
Sure.
That it was not to hide or conceal herself, like to go to a place of comfort, but to conceal herself from something that could be watching.
Yeah. No, that's a great summary. Given that the quote unquote trade seems to have been initiated by the exchange of a working flashlight for a broken one, it seems like the latter may be closer to the truth, where whatever she was captive to seemed to want, particularly electric light seems to be a recurring theme, even more than just plain electricity.
I know I'm asking for a lot, but I think this is actually a very reasonable ask. Any magnesium torches?
Inside of a
Like
substation.
flares.
Flare? Yeah, I'll give you a flare.
Okay. I'll take that then. Just things that people might need at late night work.
Yeah, totally. That's a totally respectable pitch for 0 pluses to luck, given where you are and what you have already found.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna. I'll keep the hard hat on, even if I don't have the light on. I want to keep the physical thing on my head. Because of that, perhaps they can travel faster. We'll see. What I'd like to do is speak aloud into the birds and the peepers in the neighboring vicinity.
Yeah.
And just say to them, you know what I think would be relatively useful here? A recent municipal report, as I would like to knowledge is power. The most recent DPW report. Specifically of concerning concerning the power grid.
Okay. I think that would mean that you would get an expertise in electrical management or something to that stripe.
Well, I was gonna either ask for that or some sort of self-grounding so that I can touch Zip Zap Zop.
Oh, I mean, you get both, because remember, it's both a knowledge and a
Yeah.
power. So the knowledge
Yes.
would be
But yeah,
to the degree of electrical engineering, like electrical grid management. And then you said for the magic power, you want something that can ground you. Yeah?
Yeah. I want to be able to touch something that should decently fry me and be relatively okay for a bit.
Yep, I'm okay with this.
Cool. Here's what now I'd like to open, and maybe it's in like a periodical, maybe it's in like a town meeting officials like given booklet folder sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Power outages or any local failure, grid failures in the last couple weeks, I'd say.
Sure.
Given I'm assuming a bi-weekly meeting.
Yep. Grid failures in the last couple weeks, just in Hookmore.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll start with Justin Hookmore.
In the last couple
I'm
weeks,
guessing this would be like a regional thing since you're saying Justin Hookmore.
Yep. In the last couple weeks, Grid has been almost entirely stable. They have had one or two small regional outages that have lasted less than half an hour. There was one that happened towards the southwestern or southeastern side of town near Robin Street where the disappearance happened, but that was about a week ago, and it was kind of a minor flicker. Again, maybe no more than 10, 15 minutes. The other one is, amusingly enough, today, like less than an hour ago, at the library. But so that has already been registered by the local grid monitoring service, but that is also already back online.
Yep.
Now, in terms of today in the Robin Street area near the disappearance, nothing.
Any surges?
Yes, they did have a surge in the Robin Street area today.
Does the time match up?
It does.
Cool. Moving out.
Oh,
here's the
important addition here. This grid is used to minor surges, and they deal with them not often, but reasonably often.
It's fine. Coincidence is coincidence. Were there any, going further out, like reading, town borders, like going around? I want to see if there were any others tonight, especially with all the map knowledge that I've absorbed at this point. I'm trying to see if there have been any others. Period. Just like speed reading. With my reading glasses, knowledge is power. I have the brain for it. I want to see if there were any other surges, at all. Specifically, though, along streets that are adjacent to power lines that directly cut through the Robin Street area.
Yep. In the power lines directly connected to the Robin Street area, there was a minor one, but it was it seemed to have been like an aftershock of the one that happened in the more targeted area. That said, there was one clocked that very recently came in a town like a few towns over called East Garden.
How far away was the first one that you mentioned? You said it was small, but it was still in the area.
In the initial one that linked up perfectly with time, you're saying?
Yeah.
In terms of how small it was, the grid has dealt with much bigger, but this was big enough to register.
Is there a mark of where it came from? Was it also on Robin Street? Was it a little bit further away?
It peaked in the Robin Street area, but was dealt with before it got much further. In terms of the source station, like main power station that it would connect back to, it would be the one out in the East Garden area.
Okay.
What's he thinking?
He's thinking that at this point, the speed of travel doesn't matter, given that if these things, if whatever these entities, beings, etc. are, if they're able to transport themselves or others or something across electricity and living power and creating surges when they touch things, because they didn't touch the people. There was when the flashlights were exchanged, and the adults apparently just sort of gave like a friendly gesture.
Mm-hmm.
They never touched them.
Yep.
Could be beings of light. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I would like to. There wouldn't be a phone here, unfortunately. Just in case, using my knowledge, using my sort of an internal map that I've been developing, I would like to continue along the trail away from Robin Street, just in case I'm wrong, just in case I'm reading too much into things.
Oh, by the way, before we go further, there is a phone in the substation you're at. It's just a phone
There
that
is.
directly connects to the East Garden power plant.
Oh, it does. Does it?
It's like a holdover landline from back in the days before cell phones.
Does it's? Malaj wouldn't know about 911. However, he would want to. So he's gonna pull out from his book bag a how to a landlines for dummies book.
Yep. Quickly speed read through that to learn about how to use phones in this area.
Yep. Given that it isn't a.
Yeah. And they do have a slightly unconventional phone layout here compared to what we would know in the real world. What would he be trying to call? Because if he just wants to call the power plant, there is a chance that just picking up this phone and not dialing anything would connect him to it.
No, he wanted to know how 911 worked in this area.
Yep, in that case, calling the police is quite feasibly doable.
Okay. That was more of necessary knowledge. I don't know. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I don't want to get over there. So Malaj's currently thinking that he needs to get over to this east. You said it was East Garden.
East Garden, yeah.
He needs to get to East Garden. That right. He's not violently low, but he's running a bit lower on essence than he'd like to. So.
And he has pushed his skeleton key recently to the extent that he knows that using that too much will just make it break.
Yeah, so he's giving it some time, letting it chill. And there's also a chance that he's wrong and that it isn't there. But what he will do is... yeah, he's going to call the cops.
Sure.
And as he does, he's going to look around the space and see if there's a way that if there's a noisier space that he can get to, so he doesn't sound, so his voice is a little masked.
Yeah, the substation has whirs and buzzing going on, so he can do that he can get close to one of those.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just quickly hit an 833 on these fools.
Yeah, in this case, their phones use alphabetize alphabet rather than numbering. So it would be effectively, the term would be calling IEA. And as soon as the phone rings once, you hear the little buzz, then you hear the kind of crackly operator line. IEA, how can I help you?
All right, yes. And I'm assuming vocal fry, so I'm gonna no longer vocal fry speak. Hello, yes, I would like to report an odd visual I saw. I think I saw a child in distress around the East Garden area.
East Garden, can you give me street, please? Street and number?
Yes, I'm going to mentally. I'm going to pull out all my maps.
Yep. Where do you want to position the report in East Garden?
uh,
Near power plant, away from random location.
how? So how far away is the East Garden plant?
East Garden plant from your current location?
Yeah,
Uh,
or from Robin Street.
from Robin Street would be about 8 or 9 miles.
Okay. And how long ago was the most recent surge in East Garden?
Most recent surge happened not long ago, like half an hour ago.
All right, so I'm going to assume. Uh, I'm going to looking over and remembering the map. I'm going to pick a random main street,
Yep.
like a random proper thoroughfare that is on a little bit more of the uh, of the lower population side of town,
Sure.
or specifically, yeah, somewhere like if I don't know how they're established, but again, I had the catalog to work with earlier. I had all that time to run through things. I want to position it if we're doing like imagine a north south. Let's assume that one part's a little richer, one part's
Yep.
a little poorer. There's probably discrepancies around that. I want to put it on the middle point near one side of the poor, where the poorer and richer communities intersect. I wanted that gives the cops enough of a uh, um, vibe to work with, enough of a area to work with that it's in both the places that they could be, while also might draw them in or out towards another location, which gives me a better opportunity to go find them later.
Okay. And remind me, proximity to power plant, if it matters.
Yes, it would need to be. Given that they seem to need to use their legs at some point to do things, Malaj is going to assume that they can only use this sparingly, in the same way that he can only use some of his stuff sparingly. And given that it was only about 30 minutes ago, he's going to give it about a mile range
Mm-hmm.
of like walking, so that the kid isn't, ah!
Yep.
And then again, unless they have some sort of magic that is keeping the kid docile, I don't know.
Sure.
They seem to have something though.
And so, giving an arbitrary street that meets your criteria, with your reading glasses, you can pick one up very quickly and not have to be super interrupted on your phone. So, give it a. Do you want me to give you a name?
We can make it Northwest Street.
Sure. And as you are.
Even if it's not on the north or west side, because we love street names.
You're Northwest Street. Do you know the house number?
It wasn't a house number. No, it was on the road itself. No, a couple wearing wide-brimmed hats. It seemed with walking with a child. The child did not look well, not sickly, just not well.
Do you believe that they have been mistreating the child?
I think so. Yes. He looked. How do I say it? He looked scared. And I didn't want to approach and have him get closer to them and run off and spook them and have them hide. I think there's a child in danger.
Right. And you hear a little bit of a tippy tap on the other side for a moment, and then say, so the child was escorted. What was the nearest cross street? I'll give you one. It will be Floral Avenue.
Floral Avenue.
Okay, Northwest and Floral. And the child was accompanied. And this is right now. Do you have eyes on the couple at the moment?
No, I'm sorry. No, this was yes. I've actually, unfortunately, no. I was on the other side of the road, and I only sort of thought about it now. I didn't have a phone on me, my person, so I'm at a. I don't know if I sort of. I'm using the the phone at a manufactory.
And she says, very well.
Or some sort of equivalent location that
sure,
I could quickly give.
An officer is being dispatched at this moment to investigate. Thank you for the report.
I don't know if this is relevant or not, but I saw something similar running around on the. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be able to have net.
Yeah, you would not be able to
Right.
have that.
All right. So, I heard one of my neighbors mentioning something about about a family further out in Hookmore recently lost a child. Perhaps it was this. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm rambling very much. Yes.
We understand these can be very stressful circumstances. We have this under control, sir. Thank you very much for the report.
Thank you. And then I'm just gonna. I need a taxi.
Indeed. Now, you did get a book on how to use a landline, and that does actually include numbers for taxis.
Yep. Yeah. I am going to. So, what I'd like to do is I'd like to find an older taxi.
Yep.
An older taxi company.
Yep. That way they might still have a landline.
Because pulling out a phone book doesn't give you enough information. I don't want just numbers. I want to understand the numbers or letters in this. Yeah, I want to get a older taxi company that uses more analog systems. One that would have cabs that have like rolling mile meters instead of tracking it all on their
How would you determine that from the literature you have available?
establishment date of the company.
Nice. I'll give you that. And because of that, oldest taxi company in a 10-mile radius, actually based out of East Garden.
Cool. I'm going to start using my map and walking, my mental map and walking, the direction I can. I didn't ask anything earlier about trains, so I'm not going to. And also, this is suburban town. They probably don't have a T. They'd have buses, but buses require actual money, and I don't have money. Without lying and stealing, and cheating. Oh my. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call up a company, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to find a connector point. Well, actually, I'll call up the company first.
Yep.
Ring.
Shields, wheels, what can I get you?
Hello. Yes. I'm sorry to bother you so late.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a friend.
We got it.
I need to get to East Garden. I know I'm out in Hookmore. I don't.
Sure.
Did you have any? All right. Would you be able to send someone to pick me up as soon as possible? Yes, here. And during this time, I'm figuring out the average drive route of like Malaj's seen cars at this point though. He's seen vehicles.
Yep.
Assuming
He'd
the
have
average.
to guess in terms of the average speed because different roads.
He's gonna lowball it a bit so that he has a little time to get there.
Yep. And he'd be able to give the closest pickup point to where he is now. That's on like an actual road. And where's he want to be dropped off? He's going straight to the power plant, going elsewhere, going to where he sent cops, going what?
Wherever the cops were and wherever the power plant is, hypotenuse in the more uninhabited location.
Sure.
Or the lower population, lower income area, and using this time as he's walking to.
That would be Farrell Road.
Farrell Road. Perfect. That's very Colonel Farrell or Farrell like
Colonel Farrell.
Gotcha. I don't know. It could have been coincidental. Using this time, he's going to continue to sort of mentally map out, especially since you said mothballs. He's going to look around to see if there are any, from all the notes and stuff that he yoinked into his pack. At this point, by the way, he is going to put on the high vis.
Yep.
And the helmet, proper disguise. Actually, while he's at the is there any way to unlock the substation door from the inside?
I was thinking about being mean about this. There is.
But I was going to say, like, it's on the inside. You want to be able to get it. Yeah, you don't want to lock yourself in. That's a bad time. And I'm sure there'd be a hammer that I can just
donk your
if it really came to it, right? But yeah, so Yeah, so he's beginning to think about places where there would normally where people would want mothballs.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like given the nature of what he's experiencing, I think Malai can firmly say that whatever these things are, they are magic or alien. There is
Seems
something.
firm.
These are not humanoid. Uh, Even if they can take the humanoid form. So that means they might smell.
Mm-hmm.
If they're covering something in if something is covered in mothballs, why? Why would a thing want to smell mothballs? That doesn't make sense unless it's trying to conceal something.
Mm.
So
Or to kill
thinking
moths.
about or to kill moths, which could be useful if maybe these things are fragile and made of some weird flash paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know. So the best I can do is hypothesize, and I'm trying. So what I'm looking for are places where I would either normally find mothballs in like a relevant sense of like, and especially for buildings that use or used old power. So places that had like basement boilers, and or like things like mills, especially with the mothball theme. Maybe an old textiles mill.
Okay. Yeah, you'd be able to get an old mill for sure. Uh, are you okay if it doesn't need to be an old mill that has not yet been refurbished or updated? Does it need to still be the intact old building, or could it be like made into condominiums or something?
It could be both. Look, I'm getting both, and then I'm gonna start.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna start checking the power surge, like the power notes from the knowledge's power.
Yep. And so you want to finish ordering from Shields Wheels, the having them send you to the condos at
Yeah,
Farrell Road or something.
yeah,
Excellent. And from here, getting yourself out of the substation, unlockable from the inside. And as you're making your way to the rendezvous point on the road where you ask them to pick you up, remind me, what are you going to be doing with your materials? Given that you're walking and can't have everything
yeah.
out for you.
What I'm doing is sort of using is what I was just talking about. Sort of pulling out the maps, looking them over, pulling out the municipal report on the local power issues, reading them over, checking power usage in the area,
Okay.
that sort of thing. I'm
This is also the tail
trying
end of the
to.
knowledge is power you started in the library, giving you actually a true proficiency in power grid management. So you do actually have that information available to you.
Yep. Oh, I'm using that as a buffer for my own my normal intelligence.
Yep.
I'm also using that pen to take notes so that I have something to review later, even if I can't think of it
Yep.
now.
So I'm sorry, one more time. Surges and what else?
So I'm looking for surges, looking for power usage
Yep.
overall, especially lots of flickering, lots of on and off,
Yep. Absolutely.
because maybe trying to, I'm trying to pinpoint beings that seem to work with electricity. That means there's going to be lots of shift in it. So any and the other thing with mothballs is I'm also going to be thinking of question.
Yep.
The hair tie. It was on the maps. I still have it. Yes.
Yes, you do.
Does it have a brand on it? Does it have a little tag?
Yep, it does.
Okay. Does it? What does the name say?
It's branded for a cartoon character. Uh, in fact, on the little tag, it has the same cartoon character that was on her shirt. It's a cartoon character named Luda.
Luda. Luda. Fuck is this? No, I was also wondering if it had like a JCPenney Gap style name. Maybe they're in an old department store.
They looking at it, you can see that while it doesn't have like a uh, rather it's branded for Luda, but it does also have like a distributed by blank. Do you want the name
Oh,
of the
okay.
store who distributed it?
I would like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a chain. The chain is going to be. Actually, would that be displayed? Yeah, it would be. The chain would be BRAC, BRAC.
Hey, Tayo Cruz, tell him how you feel. Oh, we got Ludacris in the chat. This is lit.
That's Luda.
Is that from Space Ghost? No.
Now, as you make your way up to the road, it's not long after that you can hear like the approaching car. Window rolls down. Do you have your headlamp on or anything like that?
When I see it, I will.
Yep. Window rolls down. You get a big huff of cigarette smoke. Hey, how you doing?
Could be much better, friend. Long day. I just sort of like show the.
He says, "Sure, hop in. Farrell Road, right?"
Yeah. The old ball and chain has me going back there.
Yeah, you're right, boss. You jump in.
He
says, "Do you have a company card?"
Not. Hold on. Let me. Shit. Bag not on me. Don't worry. I'll be able to give you cash on arrival, I think.
He says, "No. If you're with the power company, we talk to them all the time. We can expense it."
Yeah, sure. Employee number. Blah 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 blah. I have an understanding of the municipal coding.
You do. Yeah.
I give some poor asshole's number. And some poor pensioner.
And he quickly writes it down on a little piece of paper. His car reeks, but is in decent condition besides that. And you notice it doesn't have a GPS, doesn't have like, it's a pretty old-timey car compared to what the other ones you've seen around here. He uses actual pen and paper to write out the thing. He says, "Right, all right, let's get you home, boss." And he drives along the late-night streets. It's approaching midnight at this point. As he's driving along in silence, lighting up another cigarette and rolling the window down as he does so, what would Malaj do in the car?
I hate to be a burden, friend.
Oh, no smoking?
You know,
Sure.
No, I've never smoked a day in my life. Today's the kind of day where I think I could use it.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
He plucks out a cigarette, lights it, and passes it over his shoulder to you. Here you go. Malaj is the sort of person to not cough the first time he takes a cigarette, but I don't know if that's up to you.
He sort of rolls the smoke in his mouth.
Yeah.
And like holds it for a second. And like gets like halfway down that halfway down.
The driver says, "You all right?"
He sort of holds up a finger and is going to pull out the laminated town map that he had before. I'm pitching that it's laminated so it doesn't fucking catch on fire.
You know what? Sure.
And I want to I'd like to sort of bring it over to the sheet on the sort of like the municipal map of East Farthing with the last bit of the knowledge power holding on. East Garden, sorry.
Yep.
East Farthing. I got very Hobbitish there.
And yes, pardon me. From here, what would you like to do?
I would like to, holding the cigarette over, tap, tap, tap as I cast catalog again.
Mm-hmm.
As I would like the little bits of cigarette ash to fall onto the sort of most prominent places that are coming to mind now that I've been ruling a ton of things out. I know it's sort of deduction. It is not, it's not going to be somewhere obvious like an old manor or an asylum. It is not going to be, it's probably not going to be a place that is actually dilapidated proper.
Yep.
Because, otherwise, why would they smell like mothballs? If you just smell like earth and dirt and shit, you're going to smell like that no matter what you put on it. Mothballs are not good enough for long-term shit.
Yep.
If anyone who's helped the hoarder out knows this. It's not going to be in a place that is too far from technology either. because these things clearly need it. So it's probably going to be in some community building, some place where there's a lot of people and a lot of power that is able to go on and off, and then a super just goes and checks on it. Oh, no big whoop.
Yep.
And what I'd like to do is is holding that smoke in my mouth as the drops. I'd like to use fun fact as I sort of chokingly say to the guy, you know, sort of letting a little bit of the smoke, sort of like French inhale, exhale, sort of drip out my nose. And I'm going to say it in Lee so that it doesn't, but, it's in between coughs and spurts. Fun fact of smoke sometimes can conceal a great deal, but highlight what is most important, like a light shining in a room. You know, friend? And I exhale across the map, trying to use catalog to allow, sort of effectively kindle and position the embers in the most likely places from both Malaj's deductions as well as his connection with electricity as his own internal grounding that protects him from the harm or influence of negative electrical forces, as he wants to try and single out a couple more places.
And you hear the guy up front say, "Bottles and fucking cans, man. Are you alright back there?"
I've had a really long day.
Gee. Yeah, that ball and chain of yours is better do something good for you when you get back home. Maybe a nice dinner, catch the game. Not quite done yet.
As I've heard a friend of mine say, can't cook for shit.
You poor man. He passes another cigarette back to you, unlit. And as he is doing so, by the way, Malaj would notice that the smoke he blew down onto the map has left a clump of conspicuous ash in a little lump not terribly far away from the condos at Farrell Road. And based on the maps that he has available, he would see that it is the East Garden Historical Society building.
Malaj's gonna sort of stop and say, we're not far, because it hasn't been too long yet.
Oh, no, you're
I'm gonna say,
not far at all.
Could we... what? Sorry, mate, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, good to meet you, Joey.
Joey. You can call... I have a... Family's foreign, so you can just call me Mal.
Yeah, Mal. What's up, buddy?
Do you mind if we change destination? I think tonight... I think I need a little bit more time before I,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I get you, buddy.
Could you take me... Would you be able to swap over to the East Garden, Historical Society?
Sure.
There's a statue out front that I saw when I was a kid.
He says, yeah, all right. Yeah, they're gonna be closed,
No, I know, it's just out front. I don't want to have to think for a while. And
right.
Well, it just brings me back to my youth.
I mean, I guess you could walk home from there.
Yeah, it's not far, and I'm sure I could go to... Utterly making this up. This is not a pitch. I'm not looking at a map.
Gotcha.
I'm sure I could go to Sammy's on the corner. They've always got a bottle or two ready.
Yeah, they're open. He says, "All right. Yeah, I got you, Mel. We'll get you there."
Thank you.
You see him make a note on his pad, driving with his knees for the moment as he does so, before coming to a red and turning.
I'm guessing I'll have 10 minutes, based on my internal map.
Little less than that, given that you've been in the car for a little bit.
I am now going to sit and quietly smoke, enjoying the nicotine. Letting it help to refresh, getting a little bit of that ping back in between my eyes, deal with my loss of essence, as I ask him to light up another, and I just sort of,
Sure.
I try and chat him up, and just sort of listen to him and not focus. I've got enough to work with for the moment.
Joey is happy to yap. And I'm guessing that Malaj doesn't pay a single lick of attention as he does so.
Not a fucking word. He is only thinking about smoke in, breathe out, smoke in, breathe out.
And as Joey's voice just kind of washes in one ear and out the other, it's not long before you feel kind of a kagunk of going over train tracks, and then you pull up outside of rather a lovely old building. It doesn't look churchish, but neither does it look like a house. It's beautiful, it's grand, but maybe it was like a branch office for like a society or something like that for a little bit. And as it pulls up, Joey says, "But that's just my take on life. You know what I'm saying, Mal?"
Hey, Joey, my man. Can I call you my man?
You can call me whatever
My man.
you want.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
And Joey goes, "Ain't that the truth?" He opens the door, pops open the door for you, and says,
Sorry,
with those...
I needed to do something. I had to do it.
He says, "Take care of yourself with those sticks, all right?" He points to the cigarettes. And he says, "And get home safe."
I will. Can I get one more for the road? Here, I'll trade you.
Yeah, why the hell not?
I don't have much right now.
He passes the third lit cigarette over to you.
Yep.
He says, "Good night, Mal." And peels out.
I'm gonna eat the last nub. Actually, I am. I'm gonna take the last cigarette and shove it in my mouth and just start chewing it.
And as you do so, what would you like to do here at the Historical Society?
Well, first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to look up at the electrical at the power lines.
Yep.
And see where the power lines go to the society.
The power lines are quite close to the society, but the big kind of power line aisle that you were at earlier has since split off to the citywide grid of smaller residential power poles. There's one quite close to here that links up over into the Historical Society and then links away from it as well. You notice that the Historical Society, while it is an old building, it definitely has been updated to some degree. It has electrical infrastructure, even though, judging by its construction, it might have been built before that was a thing. Other things you'd like to try to determine from the outside?
Oh, no, I'm specifically looking at just where the power line...
Oh.
Where I'm trying to find their box on the outside.
Sure.
I have the high vis.
Yeah. Third floor in the crook of like a turret point.
Okay. I would like to approach the building. Ideally, no, lights are off. But I would like to approach the building.
Yep, easily done.
And look for any windows that are broken. Sort of like trying to walk the perimeter like it's a historical society. People walk around that all the time.
Totally. They're not normally at this time of night. Though he doesn't see any conspicuous
The average drunk will be fine.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, I'm actively still chewing this tobacco. I want to turn it into like disgusting mush.
Yeah. The Historical Society is dark, locked up, well cared for. The gardens, the lawn out front, the trees around it are very well groomed. It has a nice parking lot in back. No broken windows. Building is in great shape. Nice, well-liked, well-used place, too. Oh, actually, wait a sec. There would be one other weird thing you would notice. There is a car in the driveway, rather the back parking lot. It's in a reserved spot.
I would like to go check out the car.
Sure, yeah. Car is on the older side, kind of similar to Joey's car, rather than some of the sleeker ones you've seen around here. It's black, looks quite like sporty. Interior looks quite luxurious. Windows are heavily tinted though, so you can only make out the faintest outline of it. The spot is reserved for building manager.
Any of the windows? It's real. It's middle of the summer, right?
No, it is early. It's mid-spring, but unseasonably warm day.
Any chance they would have left the windows open since it would be too cold? It would be
Nope.
too hot. Oh, it's night. They got night.
Yep.
All right. I would like to take my skeleton key and try and actually use it as a skeleton key.
Yep. Rare.
And just actually, I'd like to help slide it along in case it's a little tough. I'd like to pull out a little bit of the tobacco.
Yep.
Just sort of like to grease it up and just.
Easily done. And popping open the door, you can step into the back. Are you going in via the front or the back of the building? They have.
Oh, this is the car.
Oh, pardon me. Okay, car is different.
That's why I was asking if the windows were down.
I'm dumb. In that case, all the other questions I've just answered, same answers to all of them. Including the fact that it is the car windows are all completely up, and popping the key into it takes a little fiddling. But yes, given that it is a skeleton key, you can open up a car door with it.
Yep. Does it smell like mothballs in here?
Yep.
Okay.
What would Malaj be thinking or feeling at the moment?
Glove box. Thinking perhaps these beings don't actually have bodies and they take the bodies of others. And that maybe that part is sort of irrelevant. Don't know. Don't have enough information. Could be neat. Would love to talk to them about it if they were amenable, but I doubt it. However, we do now have a connection.
Yep.
I have the mothball smelling, the girl smelled of mothballs. This car smells of mothballs.
It's very clean in here, you know.
Very clean. Glove box. I want to see who this car is registered to. I want to confirm.
Extra strong mothball smell in here. And also...
Oh, wait, no. If extra strong smells like mothball, I'm going to spit out the tobacco. I had an idea for it, but it's no longer useful. I am going to fucking roll in the chair. I want to smell like mothballs.
And as you do
if there's any mothballs here, I'd like to put them in my book bag.
Sure, you can grab. There's actually one in the glove box, so you can do that. And reaching into the glove box, how would Malaj know that cars are registered and where to look for them?
Oh, you're right. Well, even like he'd be looking for like travel papers.
Okay, then I could believe
effectively.
But looking through them, there's
like a glove box is still like it's a container.
Yep, that's true. He would find inside of it some old envelopes, a package of weird little tubes that would be labeled batteries. I don't know if he would know what batteries are, but there would be some here.
He'd heard other Enclave agents talk about this.
And also, admittedly, in the mission statement, they had said that the flashlight was out of battery, so he would see batteries.
To see if I will check if they match. By the dead flashlight that I had before.
The dead flashlight that you had gotten from the library.
The library, yeah.
Yep. These would fit into those. There's one of the big chunky barrel.
Does it? All right. I will.
Batteries.
This is good to know.
And though that said, you don't know about the one from the power station, given it's a much bigger, fatter.
I doubt it would work.
Flashlight.
Don't worry. I'm guessing that power will actually be a bad thing to have because it might be something that these things can just jump to or fiddle with.
Sure.
So
you also find a Luda branded play toy, almost like a little Beanie Baby, in the shape of the main character. And
what does Luda look like?
Luda is kind of goofy looking. Luda looks like a
he sure is.
Yeah, Luda looks kind of like a beanbag chair with big protruding eyes who just kind of rolls around like a potato. So, and he is also bright blue.
Ludicrous.
It's
Poor Luda.
and
Poor B tier rapper.
and besides
Sorry,
that,
Ludicrous, no beef.
besides that, the only other thing that you would find in here would be a couple of like receipts for like toll booths, parking meters, things of that nature, and also a couple of like library receipts.
I would like to use, since it's been like a while since I've used my scanner,
Yeah.
I would like to check the back seat and the whole space for any of the girl's hair.
And scanning, you would find not a trace, but you would find with your scanner that this was recently cleaned.
Fingerprints?
None.
That's something Malai is aware of, so.
Yep, none.
Malai doesn't have fingerprints. So he's gonna leave the thing here in this car.
Mm.
He's gonna keep one strand of hair, though.
Sure. From here, what do you want to do?
I think I need to go get into the house.
Sure.
You said the power thing was in the top.
Yep.
Actually, any payphones?
No, and also, how would he know what that is?
You're right. Well, he would know what a phone. He knows. He now knows what a phone
but
looks
he doesn't
like.
know that phones
And
go anywhere besides in like a person's house.
That's fair. Well, he saw the dude recorded it on his phone.
Yep.
No,
Though I don't think Malai would draw the connection of that weird little box being the same thing
the block
as a
to
landline.
a landline. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna go towards the building.
As you are approaching the building, Malai would feel his skin tingle, and his hair would stand slightly on end, and he would hear a crack from high above.
As fast as he can, he is turning on the power, the light on his head, and chucking it in the air.
And as he throws it up into the air, is he going to catch it when it comes back down?
No.
What's he doing?
He is looking around for what is looking at him.
Is he going to be standing still in the parking lot?
No, he's fucking moving.
To where?
Ideally, if there's a tree.
Yep. Parking lot is shaded, so he can get under a tree for sure. He would hear a clatter as the helmet hits the ground. But looking back over, the headlamp is now out.
Very quickly, sort of like using the scanner, trying to see if there's any residual arcane that he can trace.
And checking the air, he would detect an unnatural amount of ambient electricity, like charged presence in the air.
I'm still grounded, right?
Yep.
Because it was only the other one that went out before.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be fun. Somebody's son. Might be from the window. I've just got to go in.
Yep.
Nearest entrance.
Back entrance. The one I thought you were going in earlier.
Yep. I go.
Yep. Skeleton key?
Yeah.
Easily done.
At this point, by the way, I will be...
Are you picking up that helmet when you cross the parking lot?
If I can.
Yeah, it's in your path.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll pick it up.
Reaching the door, popping it open.
I will put it on my head because it's still a helmet.
Yep. And coming into the... now coming properly into the Historical Society's back hallway. Beautiful.
I will also
building.
be taking off the high-vis vest.
Sure. Once you're inside or when you're outside?
When I'm at the door.
Sure.
Because if someone's looking at me, they're going to be hard-pressed to be getting that angle. So,
Sure.
you know.
And as you make your way inside, you see that it has a great big banner. Historical East Garden, 429 years of celebrating our cherished heritage. You can see that there's a bunch of like little children's art projects depicting famous sites of East Garden. There's little dioramas set up, lots of historical photos, war medals, all sorts of stuff. Multiple stories of it too. It seems as though the first and second floor are mostly open to the public, besides the clerical areas.
I would like to reach into my book bag and pull a periodical that would have the what was it? Ford family?
Yep.
I want to pull the periodical that would have had the Ford family's for sale sign, for sale house listing in like the white pages.
Periodical.
Like newspaper, like houses for sale. I want
see,
to find the one that has their property for sale from back when they first bought it.
Back in Hookmore, easily done. Yeah. That
I'm guessing it was bought no more than 4 to 5 years ago, based on the age of their son.
Mm-hmm. And you would find
normally
it pretty
people
much...
buy a house and fuck.
You would find it pretty much exactly 5 years ago.
Gamer. All right.
Yep. It is 66 Robin Street.
66 Robin Street. Any light switches near?
Yep. Doesn't work.
That's what I thought. I would like to try and find my way upstairs, specifically to the location that was closest to where the power box.
Yep. Are you hurrying?
Was connected, and no, I'm listening.
Slow.
If I'm not moving. I mean, I'm moving as slow as I can. Because I want to listen. If I hear a window open, if I hear movement, if I hear or feel electricity spike, that's going to be really relevant.
Yep. And because he's moving slow and is focusing on listening, Malaj would quickly find a staircase, push open the door leading to it, faint creak from the door but nothing too loud, make his way up the stairs.
Can I, assuming that the door would creak, could I try and lift up on the handle in response to you know how sometimes it's because normally the creak is because it's leaning a little bit.
Yep, you don't have a plus to might, but it's just a door. Like you can put your back.
It's just a door.
Yep, and pushing that open and make your way slowly up the stairs to the second floor. More exhibits. Staircase to the third floor soon found. The third floor seems to be primarily what they call tour exhibits, closed to the public except with previous permission.
Anything made of rubber that I see on my way up?
Yep, quite a few.
I like to grab
something. Like a foot mat.
Again, electricity, rubber.
You know, one of those foot scrubber that you use to get the crap off your feet before stepping on a carpet? Like one of those.
Yeah. Oh, perfect! I'm going to be holding that in my left hand. All right, so here's how Malaj is coming in. Ready? Check this out. Flashlight in right hand, off.
Yep.
Rubber foot scrubber thing in his left.
Yep.
And he is trying to pick up the smell of mothballs.
Yep. And as he gets to the bottom of the third floor staircase, he picks out a faint whiff of them with his plus to sensory. And from there, as he makes his way upstairs, it gets stronger.
I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to turn the corner towards where it is stronger, with sort of holding the rubber in front of me.
Yep.
That's the first time I've ever said that.
And making your way creakingly into the room, you can see that it's a preserved historical room. You know what I mean? That has all the day-to-day accoutrement of some person, some minor local celebrity or something like that. Exactly as it was, or in close proximity to how it would have been when they were alive. And creeping your way inside, you can see the window that the electrical box would be right next to. You would note that the window in here is open right now, though there is a bug screen in the way. The mothball smell is quite strong, despite the window being open. Mothball smell doesn't seem to be emitting from a single closet or thing. It seems to be kind of pervasive. And the place is in impeccable condition. There is a phone in here, though admittedly from Malai's understanding, an extremely old-timey one. You can tell it's a phone because it's corded and it has a receiver and like a speaker in it. Not in the same way that like the old landline you were using could be kind of recognizable to be in the same family of object as this thing is. And besides that, there is an electric light in here, though again it looks very old-timey and clumsy with like a pull switch. When the light turns on, you can see that it casts a shadow with no source of a silhouette with a broad-brimmed hat against the far wall.
I'm gonna bow in the same way that I was told that they did before. Hello there. You seem to be very intrigued in a certain young boy. What could you want with him? Is there something you need help with?
There's a pop, and the light goes out. It's actually quite loud, and it's violent, like a electrical light backfiring. So there's a small shower of sparks.
I'm gonna use my. I'm just gonna make sure my reading glasses will protect my eyes, but I will just sort of, dark. Do I feel that same tingling on the back of my neck?
Yes, though it's not as strong.
I will definitely. With a sort of, hey, I have a weird question. I kind of want to use my spirit, which is about emotional connection in this, and in the same way that this is a very primal thing, like electricity is an element. This is sort of electricity with emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And given that it has a current, I want to feel which direction the few hair, or like the hairs, or like the skin on the back of my neck crawls towards, and look that direction. And as I brandish the rubber mat.
Window. Electrical box. You would also realize something is that when you were calculating surges on way here, the Historical Society has a very high number of minor surges, which the power grid chalks up to it using old machinery.
Old machinery, yep. Checks out.
As you, what do you want to do? Are you approaching the window? Or are you approaching the box? Or are you staying back? What?
I'm charging the box like I know what I know what I'm doing. And yep. I would like to pull out my metal skeleton key in one hand, dropping the rubber, grabbing a battery in my left.
And as you do so, there's another great pop, and there's a massive discharge to you.
I would like to twist.
And as you do so...
As I have batteries in my left hand, I want to try and send the source of this electricity into the battery, creating a passage between this electricity to where it normally would want to go, into a frickin' Duracell.
You would get a sudden vivid scene of the same room that you're in now, but in wintertime. And then the scene would vanish and Malaj would be on his back, having been literally knocked out by that amount of electricity.
Yep.
His hands ache badly. And as he comes to, he would feel his Enclave badge ping.
Ah, darn. Close enough for government work.
Final action.
I'll sort of... Is the battery still there, or is it blown to shreds?
It's blown to shreds.
Alright. He will write a note. And... yeah, he'll effectively take some of the spare things he has, and a pen, write down... Mr. and Mrs. Ford. Sorry more couldn't be done. Go to the Historical Society in winter. Top floor. Might reveal something. I know the address. And I'll load it into a nearby mailbox and ping it.
And on that note, we will end the mission.
Oh,
So close. Very close. Now,
what did I do wrong?
There was something that happened very early on, which is you didn't take the flashlight.
I knew it.
But
I was thinking about it, I was like...
You did take several other flashlights, which maybe you could have done an exchange of some kind with. You just
I was
came
considering
across,
it.
I know you did. You came across very strong at the end of there. And without anything to trade, wasn't going to happen.
I didn't know. I figured I'd be able to find a way to trap them. I was considering the big flashlight as a method, but...
Trap could maybe have worked, but you would have needed a much fatter battery. Like, car battery minimum.
Oh, and there was a car!
And there was a car. Yep.
I considered that too, but I was like, oh, but that'll be noticeable.
That was a great attempt, though. There was a bunch of interesting lines that you could have gone on. I gave you a lot of red herrings that you dodged, which was good. But you were on very finite time towards the end there, and so you pretty much just had one attempt.
Yeah, I figured.
But beautiful attempt. Obviously, I can't give you too much information about what was going on in case you decide to go back and try to do more with it, or someone else does. But what I will say is that you came, I'd say, like 3 consequential decisions away from solving it.
Oh, darn.
Very close. And I think that the only reason... If I gave this mission to another person, I would have made it like twice as easy. But I know you. So you came about... I think I estimated your aptitude exactly right for this. It's been a while since we've done a high difficulty thing together, isn't it?
I don't know. That last one before this was a little tough, too.
Yeah, it's true. But okay, that was me just trying to make it so that you were challenged at all. But... questions. I can give you some stuff, but I can't reveal too much.
Is the kid dead?
No.
Are these things only visible in light?
No, but that's a good guess.
All right, because like I was thinking about when they arrived, I was like, maybe they met under like a power light or something.
They did.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent spot there. They weren't only visible in light, but electric light was important for them.
Are they malicious, or are they just trying to survive?
I don't think either is a perfect description of it.
No questions other than that. Other than the classic Dippy line of "We need a name, Robbie."
Oh, we do need a name. But before I do so, final question for you would be:
Sure.
Did any of my individual calls not make sense, or any individual calls that you have questions about?
No. I think I would needed to have known more about what was going on to figure out why it didn't work
precisely
at the end, and I just didn't, so I'm not mad about that.
And I will also say that one of the things that made this mission so difficult is you needed to get a lot of context very quickly.
Very early. And I was considering not even talking to the girl, but I wanted to see if I could get something out of her, and it just didn't work.
Yep, absolutely.
I got some stuff from her, but not enough.
In terms of Malaj, by the way, I thought this was a fantastic showcase of Malaj's librarian plus skeleton key main abilities. I thought it was fantastic. Malaj does such a great job of being eerie and then trying to forcibly fit into a non-eerie setting, which was fun to see. I also thought that the Malaj scene of getting the little girl to open up with a comic book was a great idea. Really, really smart. Because he's creepy.
Yeah. Was she complicit?
No. Not at all.
Oh, interesting. She was just quiet.
Yep. She was adjusting. We'll put it that way.
I'm guessing that she had been, living online for a while, shall we say.
That's, like, not a terrible way of describing it. Similar to that, yeah. There was a lot going on with this. The nightmare itself, which I will briefly reveal, was my wife was one of the POVs of the parents and exchanged a flashlight with a little girl with 2 people whose faces could not be seen, 2 adults, swapping her child's working flashlight for the little girl's not working flashlight. Then this was one of our oldest son was subbed in for the boy in this one, and I was there in the dream too. Couldn't find our son, so look from everywhere, call the police in a panic, rush back home, and that little girl is sitting in our dining room. And that's where her nightmare ended. So everything after that, I filled in. And it was insanely vivid. I have a note document of everything she told me. And I based every single thing, with exceptions of like, making it in a, not in the real world and in like a parallel kind of contemporary-esque setting. And also like not just using her and I as characters, that would be dumb. So I use fill-ins here. But besides like anonymizing the details, so to speak, the exact plot I used word for word from her nightmare. Yeah, which is a cool request. I hope she does it more often. She has really interesting dreams.
Yeah.
Name, what are you thinking?
Power Struggle, I think was...
Power Struggle is
was
quite
the
a good
Dippy
name.
Offered in chat, and I think that is perfect.
Let's do it. Power Struggle. And the one last thing I will say, since Malaj got super close, found a major lead, he receives partial credit for this mission, 1 mercs.
Woo!
Yep, so he will not get the full 2 mercs of succeeding a difficulty critical mission.
The question, was this technically V2? Because if so, he would have been level 3, and I was running him at level 2 stats.
I use V1.5, so I think it still works.
Yeah. It still works.
That's why I genuinely do not think stats would have changed the outcome.
Nope, I don't either. Yep. Outside of maybe...
Might have gotten you 1 decision closer.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
Great use of your intelligence stat, by the way. I loved hearing you play with inferences. I love feeding into your theories. This was a mission that demanded extensive use of the intelligence stat, which is how I designed it, and you picked up on that beautifully, and you made use of your spirit stat very well, too. Awesome. Final thoughts or questions before we sign off?
None for me. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to go save that kid. I think they're stuck. Sorry, little Timmy.
Yeah. Maybe a follow-up group will go. You never know. If I get the perfect focus words, it could happen. But until then, I think it's time for us to sign off. Final words to viewers.
Thank you all for watching, especially the folks in chat who were cheering me on and memeing at me. It was great to just see Ludacris pop up. Luda! Maybe there'll be a part 2. We never know. Maybe this will be a whole saga.
The name Luda, by the way, came from one of Sterling's imaginary friends.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard him talk about Luda?
He's talked a little bit. I just thought he was just saying words. So.
No, it's a consistent recurring character. He says Luda is coming over. So I decided to make use of that for this. Excellent. Thank you so much for playing, Lee. It is always a pleasure hosting for you. We have done so many solos together, and this is one of the many great ones that will go down in the books. Plus, we get to play with high difficulty again, which is fun for me.
Oh, it's tough.
Yeah, it's fun getting to challenge. But you did great as always. No surprise there. Thanks to every one of you who are watching. And as always, my name is Robbie Howell, and ciao for now.